Prince Harry sharing painful and deeply personal details of the family rift.
I don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out there.
The British royal family is facing one of its most painful divisions in decades. What started as a private disagreement between Prince William and Prince Harry has now exploded into a global media battle. At the center of it all is the legacy of their mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. Reports suggest William is prepared to fight back against Harry's Netflix projects, accusing his brother of turning Diana's story into entertainment. So how did two brothers who once stood united after their mother's death end up on opposite sides of a public feud? Join us as we unravel William's move to stop Harry and how their mother's legacy has become the center of this explosive family feud. The breaking point. For years, the tension between Prince William and Prince Harry has existed just beneath the surface. It has been visible in awkward public appearances and carefully worded royal statements. But according to palace insiders and royal commentators, that tension may now have reached its most serious point yet. At the center of the latest dispute is something deeply personal: the legacy of their mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. Over the past few years, Harry has repeatedly referenced Diana in interviews, documentaries, and public conversations about his life. Her story has been woven into his narrative about growing up inside the monarchy, dealing with press intrusion, and protecting his own family from similar scrutiny. That approach became highly visible through projects connected to Netflix, particularly the documentary series Harry and Meghan. The series explored Harry and Meghan's relationship with the royal family and the British press. Throughout the episodes, Harry would not stop mentioning Diana's name. People started to argue that the documentary turned one of the monarchy's most painful chapters into part of a commercial streaming project. These speculations brought up disagreements that have long simmered between the brothers. While Harry has often spoken publicly about Diana's impact on his life, Prince William has taken a far more guarded approach. Prince William's friends have repeatedly described him as deeply protective of how their mother's memory is represented in public life. To William, Diana's legacy is closely tied to humanitarian work and long-term charitable initiatives rather than media storytelling. For years, the difference in approach remained largely unspoken, but a new development appears to have pushed the situation to a breaking point. According to multiple reports, discussions have been circulating about a potential documentary project linked to the upcoming 30th anniversary of the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in August 2027. The project is said to be connected to ongoing partnerships between the Sussexes and Netflix. Within royal circles, that possibility has reportedly caused serious concern. The sensitivity surrounding the anniversary dates back nearly a decade. In 2017, during the 20th anniversary of Diana's death, William and Harry stood together publicly to commemorate her life. They participated in televised interviews and documentaries produced by BBC and ITV, reflecting on childhood memories and the extraordinary global reaction that followed their mother's death. Those appearances were widely viewed as a moment of unity between the brothers. But according to several royal biographers, the period also produced an informal understanding between them. They agreed that Diana's story would be honored through selective tributes, not repeated commercial projects. However, that understanding began to weaken after Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, stepped back from royal duties in 2020 and relocated to California. Freed from the restrictions that normally govern senior members of the royal family, the couple began pursuing independent media ventures. The couples went from being royal representatives to global content creators. While some of their projects focused on social issues and personal storytelling, the Harry and Meghan documentary placed the royal family at the center of a highly public narrative. The series attracted massive global viewership, but it also intensified tensions inside the monarchy. Reports at the time suggested that several senior royals felt caught off guard by the couple's portrayal of events. Now, there is a far greater issue. The prospect of another project connected to Diana's life, especially one tied to the milestone anniversary, has revived those concerns. Palace aides reportedly believe that such a production risks transforming a moment of personal remembrance into a global entertainment event. And of course, Diana deserved better a remembrance anniversary. For William, the issue is not simply about a documentary. It is about who controls the story of their mother's life. Prince William was not having it that Harry should claim their mother's legacy. Sources close to the royal household say the Prince of Wales has quietly begun consulting legal and communications advisors. The legal reality is complex. Diana's life is part of modern history, meaning filmmakers are generally free to explore it. But the royal family still controls access to certain archival materials, locations, and historical insights that can shape how such projects are perceived. That influence could become an important factor if tensions continue to escalate. However, for Prince William, Diana is not simply one of the most famous women in modern history. She is the mother he lost at a young age, and the memory continues to live on through the two brothers. Yet nearly 3 decades after the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, the question of how her story should be told may have become the deepest divide between her two sons. At what point did Harry and Meghan become deeply influenced and started referencing their mother's story on Netflix? The deal that started everything. The turning point in the feud between Prince William and Prince Harry did not begin with a single interview or headline. It began with a business decision, one that shifted the Sussexes from royal representatives to global media producers. In 2020, after announcing their decision to step back as senior members of the royal family, Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, relocated to California. Within months of relocation, they signed a major production partnership with Netflix, reportedly worth tens of millions of dollars. The deal gave the couple a new role in the entertainment industry. They were able to create documentaries, series, and storytelling projects designed for a global audience. It was a dramatic shift. Instead of operating within the carefully controlled communication system of the monarchy, Harry and Meghan were now free to shape their own narrative. For the first year, the partnership remained largely theoretical, and most times the stories were fictional. Along the line, several projects were announced, but few details emerged. Then, in December 2022, the couple released their most high-profile production yet, Harry and Meghan. The 6th episode of this documentary project instantly became one of the most talked-about royal media events in years. In the series, Harry and Meghan offered their personal account of how their relationship developed. They also showed how they navigated intense media scrutiny and why they ultimately chose to leave the United Kingdom. The documentary blended home video footage, interviews, and commentary about the pressures of life inside the royal institution. That was not all. On the show, Harry frequently compared the media treatment Meghan received to the relentless attention Diana faced during the final years of her life. He described the fear that history might repeat itself, arguing that the same forces that pursued his mother were now targeting his wife. For many viewers, those comparisons made the documentary deeply emotional. Diana remains one of the most beloved and recognizable figures in modern royal history, and the idea that her son feared repeating the same tragedy resonated with audiences. However, the narrative also triggered criticism. Some commentators argued that invoking Diana's story within a commercial streaming series blurred the line between personal reflection and entertainment. In other words, what began as a deeply private family trauma was now part of a global content platform, which was not supposed to be so. This debate intensified weeks later. Also, in January 2023, Harry released his memoir, Spare. This memoir was a book that detailed his childhood, the impact of losing his mother at age 12, and his complicated relationship with the royal family. As if the whole world were waiting for such a release, the book became a global bestseller almost immediately. Several people bought the book, and soon it became the talk of the town. The success of this book also pushed the tension with Prince William further into the spotlight. William has historically taken a far more restrained approach to discussing their mother in public, but Harry's non-stop push seemed way too much. That difference in approach has quietly shaped the relationship between the brothers for years. Now, a disagreement sits at the center of the widening divide between the two brothers. For Prince Harry, telling his story is a way of confronting the past and protecting his family's future. For Prince William, protecting their mother's legacy may require something very different, keeping it separate from the machinery of modern entertainment. And that fundamental difference may be what ultimately transformed a private family disagreement into one of the most public royal feuds in modern history. How long will the feud between these royal brothers last? The legal battle. The feud between Prince William and Prince Harry has officially entered a new stage, the legal arena. What began as a private dispute over the handling of Diana, Princess of Wales's legacy has escalated into formal action. What Prince William runs after is to ban his brother from continuing what he's started. This made him consult top law firms in London to determine how to limit Harry's ability to commercialize their mother's story. Sources inside Kensington Palace, where Prince William lived, describe the situation as unprecedented. Legal experts suggest this is not about censorship, but about control. Allowing one royal to profit from highly sensitive family history without oversight could create a ripple effect. It may also encourage future projects that would blur the line between private and public life. William's team reportedly considers the potential reputational and ethical consequences of leaving such material unregulated. Sources indicate the prince has authorized strategies to negotiate contractual limits with streaming platforms, signaling the seriousness of the move. The stakes extend beyond a single project. The monarchy functions as both a historical institution and a global brand. Legal intervention in Harry's Netflix project is therefore not personal, but also strategic, reinforcing the monarchy's broader interests. Advisors reportedly view it as a preventive measure, ensuring Diana's legacy is not misrepresented or used purely as a commercial asset. The personal dimension cannot be ignored. William's legal action is driven by deeply emotional factors. Diana's life and death shaped both brothers' upbringing, and William has long felt a protective responsibility toward her memory. For Harry, the situation represents a crossroads. While he retains legal freedom to tell his story, the combination of family pressure, institutional influence, and public scrutiny creates a complicated landscape. Every step he takes in the media space now carries potential legal and reputational consequences. The legal battle also sends a message to other royals and collaborators. The institution retains authority over how its history is represented in global media, whether through formal contracts, archival access, or negotiations behind the scenes. As the world watches, this legal confrontation will define the next phase of the William-Harry dynamic. Nevertheless, beyond personal grievances, a larger question underscores: how does a modern monarchy balance grief, public expectation, and global media opportunities? The answer may set precedent for decades, but the legal stage has been set, and the outcome will not only shape Harry's projects, but also signal the monarchy's approach to preserving dignity and the memory of one of the most beloved figures in modern history. With the feud between these brothers and the legal actions taken, how is the royal family's reputation affected as a whole? The royal family's reputation on the line. What once might have been managed behind palace walls has now become a story the world watches in real time. This has kept the British monarchy's reputation under pressure. Every move the brothers make, legal actions or public statements, reflects not just on them, but on the royal institution as a whole. For William, who is preparing to inherit the crown, the stakes are existential. He must protect the image of the monarchy as stable and dignified. Any public perception that family disputes are spilling into commercial projects or media spectacles threatens that carefully curated image. Harry's ventures in the United States, particularly projects tied to Diana's legacy, have amplified these risks. Even if the content is personal or legal, it is instantly interpreted as a reflection on the family. Palace insiders stress that the monarchy's reputation is built on trust and symbolism. When the public sees conflict between the princes, particularly over their mother's memory, it raises uncomfortable questions about loyalty and discretion, the two important things to exist in royalty. Each documentary or media appearance involving Harry becomes a high-stakes moment. William's response, from legal consultations to strategic signaling to streaming platforms, is aimed at protecting that image before irreparable damage occurs. The wider royal family also feels the pressure. Senior members are caught between supporting William's authority and acknowledging Harry's independence. Every appearance, from official ceremonies to casual interviews, is now scrutinized for signs of unity or the lack of it. Observers note that even minor disagreements become magnified because they now carry the weight of a global audience that has never seen the monarchy outside the glare of modern media. Harry's media presence complicates this further. His decisions directly intersect with the monarchy's symbolic authority. For William, This is not a matter of personal grievance alone, which everyone else understands. It is about maintaining the dignity and credibility of an institution that relies on public perception. Any project that seems to commercialize family history, especially involving Diana, puts the royal brand at risk. The monarchy's reputation is also measured internationally. Royal family conflicts are reported in every corner of the globe, shaping diplomatic impressions, public trust, and charitable influence. A feud that seems personal on the surface now carries institutional consequences. Every streaming project or public statement from Harry is interpreted as a statement about the monarchy's cohesion and leadership. At the heart of the crisis is trust. The public expects the royal family to balance transparency with discretion, showing humanity without exposing internal fractures. This is one part where Harry has missed it all for entertainment. However, William's strategy, from legal interventions to controlling access to royal archives, is designed to reinforce that trust. The family's credibility depends on the perception that its history, particularly the memory of Diana, is treated with care, not leveraged for commercial gain. This is why the current standoff matters beyond two brothers. The feud between William and Harry has turned into a broader test for the monarchy. Can it survive the modern media era without compromising its authority? How the family manages this moment, from legal maneuvering to public messaging, will shape perceptions of the crown for years. Therefore, the stakes are clear. The monarchy's reputation, its global influence, and the public memory of Diana are all on the line. What happens next between William and Harry will not just define their relationship, but could leave a lasting mark on the future of the British royal family. However, the public perception continues. Whose side are they on? Who is right or wrong? Right or wrong? Fans and critics take sides. This is the point where the people are able to pour out their mind. There is now a global debate between two brothers, one that now divides public opinion across social media, television commentary, and international news coverage. Long before the current disagreements between William and Harry, their mother had already become one of the most influential figures the modern monarchy had ever seen. It was notable that Diana was not only admired in Britain, but across the world. Her humanitarian work changed the way many people viewed the role of the royal family in society. During the year 9080 and 9090, she brought attention to issues that had often been ignored in public discourse. One of the most widely remembered moments came when she publicly shook hands with patients living with AIDS at a time when fear and misinformation surrounded the disease. That single gesture helped challenge stigma and showed the power of compassion in public leadership. She also campaigned against landmines, visiting affected communities, and drawing global attention to the humanitarian consequences of conflict. Because of this legacy, Diana remains more than a historical royal figure. This is why discussions about her legacy continue to carry such emotional weight. So when documentaries, books, or interviews connected to Diana's life appear, the public response will become sharply polarized. Supporters of Prince William often frame the issue as a matter of respect. They argue that Diana's story has already been told many times, and that turning her memory into another entertainment product will risk trivializing the emotional impact of the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. For many on this side, the anniversary of her death is not to be framed as a marketing opportunity, but a moment for reflection within the family. These voices frequently emphasize William's long-standing role in preserving his mother's humanitarian legacy. On the other side are those who believe Prince Harry has every right to tell his own story about their mother. They argue that Diana's influence shaped both brothers equally, and that Harry's perspective, particularly his reflections on grief and media intrusion, offers a valuable dimension to the historical record. That viewpoint gained significant attention after the release of Spare, in which Harry described how losing his mother at a young age shaped many of his later decisions. The book that became one of the fastest-selling nonfiction titles in recent years. Another figure frequently drawn into the discussion is Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex. Since marrying Harry in 2018, Meghan has been both praised and criticized for her role in the couple's new ventures. Supporters view her as a partner helping build a modern media platform focused on storytelling and advocacy. Critics, particularly in parts of the British press, often portray her as an outsider influencing royal narratives from outside the institution. Most people claim that she is most likely the one influencing her husband into taking those decisions. However, the reality is likely more complex. Media projects developed by the Sussexes typically involve teams of producers, historians, writers, and executives, usually far more people than the public imagines. Decisions about documentaries or streaming content are rarely shaped by a single individual. Still, in the world of celebrity and royalty, perception can matter as much as fact. Every announcement, rumor, or leaked detail quickly becomes another chapter in a broader narrative about family conflict and competing visions for the future. What makes the debate so emotionally charged is that it touches on two powerful themes at once: the enduring public fascination with Diana, Princess of Wales, and the complicated relationship between the sons she left behind. Nevertheless, nearly 30 years after her death, Diana's legacy continues to inspire admiration around the world. Yet the conversation surrounding that legacy increasingly reflects the modern media environment where audiences and commentators often choose sides long before the full story emerges. As the story continues, what is the future and plan of Harry? Will he give up or not? What happens to Harry next? Speculation about Prince Harry's future has intensified as his rift with Prince William spills into the public eye. This dispute has now raised a defining question about Harry's place in the world. Where does he stand and what exactly is his motives? Both as a former working royal and as a global public figure, observers are asking, with legal pressure mounting, media deals in flux, and family ties strained, where does Harry go from here? A recent public moment illustrated the intensity of that scrutiny. On February 23, 2026, Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, attended a basketball game at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, seated courtside. To casual viewers, it was a routine celebrity outing. The couple smiled, waved, and acknowledged fans. Yet in the modern media landscape, even an ordinary public appearance becomes a test of narrative and perception. Clips of their attendance circulated instantly online, dissected by commentators, fans, and social media pundits, all searching for signals about Harry's state of mind. Some analyses focused on his posture, facial expressions, and interactions with Meghan, suggesting signs of stress or tension. While interpretations vary, the incident underscores a reality Harry has navigated for decades. What he planned to avoid all these years is finally happening, and there's no way it can be avoided except a total off from the internet, which is not effective. Unlike most adults, he cannot step outside the global spotlight. His life, choices, and even expressions carry symbolic weight far beyond his personal control. This level of scrutiny is rooted in his history. From childhood, Harry was thrust into a world of extraordinary public attention, amplified by the tragic death of his mother. The global response to her passing framed Harry's formative years, forcing him to reconcile grief, privacy, and public expectation. As he matured, the media attention shaped his understanding of personal freedom versus duty, a tension that continues to define his decisions today. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Harry has sought to define an independent life. He continues to balance privacy, philanthropy, and public work. He and Meghan launched multiple other media ventures, including documentaries, podcasts, and partnerships with organizations. He claims his focus is also on mental health, veterans, and social issues. While some initiatives, like the 2022 series Harry and Meghan, achieved massive global attention, not all has been successful. Other projects, such as the cancelled Pearl project and limited Spotify productions, illustrate the challenges of sustaining influence in a competitive media landscape. Meanwhile, the family dynamic adds another layer of complexity. The feud with William highlights the tension between institutional responsibility and personal freedom beyond an ordinary sibling rivalry. William's position as future monarch means he must protect the monarchy's public credibility, while Harry is exploring life outside those constraints. Looking forward, Harry's trajectory may depend less on the ongoing family dispute and more on how he personally carves a sustainable identity outside the monarchy. He needs to make a stable decision on what he will focus on and stick to it. Opportunities remain in media production, public advocacy, and philanthropy. He could continue developing documentaries, supporting charitable causes, or leveraging his platform to address mental health, veterans' issues, and social justice initiatives, considering that these are areas where he has already established credibility. Yet even with independent projects, Harry's choices will be filtered through the lens of royal association. Safe to say he brought this upon himself. Now everything he ventures in will inevitably be measured against the backdrop of his relationship with William and the enduring legacy of Diana. Missteps, perceived exploitation, or controversial content could intensify scrutiny, while well-managed projects might allow him to establish a respected position as a global figure outside traditional royal boundaries. Will Prince Harry do well or not? Yet no one can say exactly where Prince Harry's path will lead from here. His life has already moved far beyond the traditional boundaries of royal duty, yet the connection to his past still follows him everywhere. Every decision he makes, whether in public work or private life, will be watched closely. For some, he represents change and independence. For others, he remains a prince tied to the history he left behind. What happens next will depend on the choices he makes moving forward. Do you think it is right that Diana's legacy be part of entertainment projects? Will Prince William and Prince Harry ever find common ground again? Or has this feud gone too far to repair? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.